What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Hamistang and today is my review here of the Oppo A3 Pro 5G, a phone that I've been using for the past few weeks already, and I'd like to break it down into 4 main segments over here just to give you guys a more comprehensive overview of how this phone has been for me for the past few weeks. So yes, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Alright, so first things first, I like to and have to talk about the price of the A3 Pro over here. So here in Malaysia, it does go for about 1,099 ringgit, which would place it at about the $200 mark. So that means that this is an entry-level phone. And of course, if you want to look at this phone, we have to look at the price first over here. And for the first segment that I do want to talk about is of course the holding experience. Basically, how the phone would feel in your hand. What I can say is that it feels really good. Is what she said. For the price point over here, I wouldn't complain about it too much. Yes, you get your plastic on the back and whatever so on. On the front, you're not going to get your Gorilla Glass. You do get your Panda Glass. But all in all, it is a very sturdy phone. Not to mention that we do have the case over here right off the box that they give you for free. So you don't have to worry about going out and wasting your time to go on to Shopee, Lazada to buy a phone case from China or whatsoever. You have a good, nice phone case over here. It's not your typical clear phone case, but it's still a very nice rugged phone case over here. And of course, it complements with the whole sturdiness of this phone over here, which I absolutely do like. Of course, this phone here on the sides, we do have the squared sides, which of course I really do prefer. It does give me more of a futuristic look and design. It feels more comfortable in my hand. I do like the curves on the sides here as well. Does have a good weight to it, I would say. And of course, when you talk about the camera bump as well, it is very, very slim. So it's not too bulging, and in case if you want to put it on your table or whatsoever, you're not going to get a lot of rocking with this phone over here. So all I'm going to say is that this phone here feels really, really nice. It feels really cool. Yes, you're going to get your matte finish on the back here as well. So you're not going to get a lot of fingerprints on the go. And of course, it is a very good sturdy phone. Overall, I have to emphasize on this because this is one of the main key features of this phone, because at this price point, you might want to buy it for maybe a younger person or an older person who might drop their phone a lot. I think this over here does kind of solve that problem. So yes, all in all, I think it's a really good one over here. For this, I will give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Alright, so next thing I'll talk about here is of course the viewing experience. So this will cover the display, the speakers, and also the haptics on this phone. And of course, this is where you will see that this phone over here would have to cut some corners to give you an affordable price. So in terms of the display, yes, you still get a massive display over here, 6.7 inch, but it is an IPS LCD panel compared to an AMOLED panel. Yes, I would say that definitely the colors and the deep blacks, you will not get the perfect one compared to an AMOLED display, but it is still a very good LCD panel. I think phones in 2024, when it comes to this area over here, they've already mastered in terms of their technology and their display quality over here. So even if it's an LCD panel, to be honest, you can't really tell a full difference when you're going through your social media or whatsoever. Definitely when you're watching some movies or when you're watching some more intense shows, when you need the deep blacks and you need the excess color and all that sharpness and all that, you will definitely not get it over here. One more thing to note is that this phone over here doesn't give you a 1080p panel, it's just a 720, so you can tell when it comes to the brightness and in terms of the quality of it, it's not as good as you get from a high-end phone. But all in all, I would say it's still very good. Like I mentioned before, you still get a large display. Yes, there is some thick bezels over here, but I think it's alright because if you want to swipe from the sides or from the bottom, you will prevent some accidental touches, which I really do like. One more thing to note is that this phone over here is, of course, a flat display, so it's really, really comfortable and very, very nice to use on the go. And one other thing I really do like about it is, of course, we do have the fingerprint scanner on the sides over here. Really, really reliable compared to an under display over here. Works much faster. And of course, the face unlock as well works really, really well. So it's all very convenient. Also, one more thing to note is that when it comes to the display over here, we still have the splash touch technology, which is something I really, really do like. So in case if you guys get any water droplets or whatsoever, you can still use the phone, you can still scroll through your social media or whatsoever. When it comes to the speakers, again, this is where they had to make some corners to be cut. And what I would say here is that when it comes to the speakers over here, this again is where they had to make some corners. When it comes to the speakers over here, again, this is where they had to cut some corners. We only have a mono frame speaker over here, which is a little bit disappointing because I know when it comes to the stereo speaker setup, it's all about the software side of things. So they could have actually easily implemented a stereo speaker setup on this, but you still just get a normal down frame speaker. It does get pretty loud, so it's not too bad in terms of just going through your social media. Definitely when you're watching some shows, when you need the stereo sound, you're not going to get it over here. It is a bit of a bummer, but what they have actually compensated over here with is of course the audio jack. So over here, again, not many phones in 2024 are giving you this. It's nice to know that with an entry-level phone over here, we are still getting an audio jack. So you can plug in your wired headphones or earphones over here, use it on the go, and it does give you very good sound quality at the end of the day. When it comes, of course, to the haptics, I wouldn't say it's the best, but it does get the job done. It feels a little bit heavy for my liking, but hey, it's still a very good affordable price over here. So all in all, I would say when it comes to the viewing experience, I would give this a solid 7 out of 10. Okay, so next up over here, I'm going to talk about is of course the user experience. So this will basically cover the hardware and software side of things. So the A3 Pro over here does give you a fairly good amount of hardware. We have the Dimensity 6000 series over here. We have about 8 gigs of RAM, which of course can use the RAM expansion feature, 256 gigs of storage, and of course you can expand it with your micro SD. Not so much of an issue over here. I really would say that the software experience over here is actually fairly decent in case if you want to use it for your multitasking, simple multitasking. If you're going to go through different kind of social apps, I would say it fares pretty decent, I would say. Of course, if you leave it for more longer hours, they would refresh on a more consistent basis. And of course, if you want to open up multiple apps, sometimes you will see some refreshes over there. But overall, in terms of the lags, in terms of the stutters, yes, you will see compared to what a phone would give you with a more mid-range or flagship chipset. But I would say that the Dimensity over here fares really well. And when it comes to heating as well, not so much of an issue for me. When it comes to gaming, I know you guys want to know about gaming. It is, of course, pretty decent when it comes to light gaming. Of course, if you want to go for your Genshin Impact of your PUBG Mobile at high settings, you're not going to get it over here. But it does pretty well for more normal settings, I would say. One thing I want to highlight over here is, of course, the battery. So over here we have a 5100 milliamps of battery, not normal for a full day of usage over here. We don't have the 66 watt super VOOC, but we still do get a very decent 45 watt super VOOC charger to pump this baby up to full speed. So I would say that here it's also pretty decent overall. And one thing I really like about this is that they have actually given us a little bit of some AI features over here, like the AI eraser, the link boost, and all these other things. I think this is really cool because this is a entry-level phone, but they're still giving us all this cool AI software over here. When it comes to the color OS, yes, they have to cut some corners to give you more of a simple approach, but overall I do like the features that we have here, and the software does look pretty clean. So overall, the user experience on this, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. Right, so last but not least, let's talk about the cameras on this phone over here. And of course, this is an area they had to cut some corners, and of course you will see it especially when it comes to the rear cameras over here, because we do not have any ultra wide lens. It is a huge bummer over here, because I think if they're given us a simple ultra wide lens over here, I think that will make a lot of difference. We still do get a fairly decent 50 megapixel AI camera over here, which would give you very good shots under good lighting conditions. Because you will get some portraits over here, they do have the extra portrait camera to give you a little bit more of a bokeh effect overall. I wouldn't say it's the best, but of course looking at the price of this, it's still a fairly decent camera. Of course, when it comes to the selfie department over here, again, it still gives you a fairly decent camera over here. The sharpness on this is pretty decent. I wouldn't say it's the best. You still get a good amount of details, a bit of sharpness. And when it comes again back to the rear cameras over here, the colors and the intensity when it comes to the saturation and all these other things are still fairly decent. When it comes to the features, I really like it because they still give you a good amount of features over here. Again, this is something that they have implemented in their software, and they try to keep it uniform even with the A3 Pro 5G over here. So overall, when it comes to the cameras over here, I would say this is a solid 6.5 out of 10. Alright, so that is my review here of the A3 Pro 5G, and of course the ultimate question is, should you go out and buy it? For this price point, I think this is a selected group. Like I mentioned before, maybe you're going to get it for your parents or for a relative, or maybe you want to get it for your young kid who's going into their first smartphone, and you know you're worried about them, you know, just throwing the phone all around, dropping it. I think this is a really good option and a good buy for it, because for about $200 you're going to get a very good sturdy phone, a good kind of display over here, and of course when it comes to that whole software experience, I would say it's actually pretty decent, and it doesn't really fail you that much. And when it comes to Oppo phones, you want to get a little bit of years of updates, so you can use this for some time until they move on to their next phone. So of course, these are just my thoughts and my opinions. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. Of course, if you guys have any questions, leave it so in the comments and I'll check it out. If you guys enjoyed the video, do click the like and smash the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one.